All right, so here we had a question about this question that is in the sample questions that we give out. A SQL injection vulnerability can be caused by which of the following? Password complexity, improper input validation, say that 3 times in a row, discretionary access control, or cross-site request forgery. Wow, that just sounds like a mouthful there on D. Well, if you recall our technique, first you should do a 50-50. Okay, so 50-50 puts us in a position where, hey, we want to eliminate two, right? And if you didn't join us the other sessions, we were saying that you might want to consider reading from the bottom up because human nature, it's intuitive to try to pick the first answer and don't even read the other ones. So if you give yourself a fighting chance with the 50-50 and you read from the bottom up, there's a good chance you're going to get this right here. So first off, you need to know what SQL injection is. So SQL, or SQL, stands for Structured Query Language. And what that is a way to retrieve data from a database. And it's very caveman-like in syntax. Simple statement would be select all, and in this particular case, the all would be something that we would indicate by an asterisk, something like that. Select all, and then from table. Okay, so I'll just write TBL. All right, so this is what a SQL statement is. You can have select, you can have insert, you can have update, you can have delete, um, all sorts of cool commands that you can use within structured query language um, if you're a programmer. And the way that it works is that on a web form here, let's say that this is a login form. Stand by. Login. Okay. So on the login form here, we're going to put in probably our username and password, right? So with our username and password here, we can actually do some pretty cool stuff behind the scenes. Well, if you have down here at the bottom this button has this thing right here on the login screen that is called a click event. And the neat thing about this is that with the click event, basically you say, hey, web page, when somebody clicks on this button, do something. So behind the scenes, you write the code, you make the magic happen, and the click event is glorious, and it's wonderful. So uh, bear with me here for a second. So the click event then happens, and behind the scenes it says, hey, go out and make a ODBC or maybe a Java connection, so JDBC. But either way, you're going to make a open database connection to a database of some sort. And usually in like Visio or something that we're looking at online, you'll see the database drawn as a cylinder. That's my naive approach to try to draw a cylinder. So click event connects out to the database, wherever that data store is. And then inside of the click event here, there's some code, and it says, hey, select all from database table, And then underneath that, you throw in a where clause where UID equals, let's just say B McGee, right? So UID equals B McGee, and then you throw in an and statement, and I know that this is taking longer than you were hoping for, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyways. Where UID equals, quote, B McGee, and password equals tick, and then txt, I'm just going to write this in here, txt pwd dot value. Okay, so check it out. Now, why is that important? Well, it may not be important to you, but to any of these web clients that are out there, this is super important. Because remember, here is the UID. Here is the password, right here. So the text box here, it's filled in with B McGee. Well, the text box here for UID is probably called txt, and you could actually go into debug mode in a lot of the browsers and look at it, but it's probably called txt user ID or something like that. Okay, and the dot value would be whatever is put into that text box here. Okay, and over here with this one, the txt password is this box, and whatever's put into that txt password dot value is what is passed dynamically when the click event executes. It goes through the ODBC and executes the command, and then whatever you put into here, thus we call it an input, whatever you input into here actually gets passed back here to a dynamic SQL statement. And so what we can do with SQL injection inside the password field here, a comment in SQL is a tick or an apostrophe. So we can actually go tick and semicolon. And again, this is in the password text box here. So tick semicolon. That's supposed to be a tick right here. And then you can say or 1 equals 1. And if you put that into the password here, this input now gets put into here. And how often does 1 equal 1? Well, let me just show you here what happens here. This tick, and yes, this is not a 1, so I apologize for that. I think if I erase it, it will erase it all. But this is a tick mark, so an apostrophe. So if I was to actually input this in here, the SQL statement would not show this text password anymore right here, right? It would actually just show a tick, tick. This is the second tick. And then it would actually show a semicolon, and then it would be or 1 equals 1 tick, like that. And so it would close out the SQL statement, the structured query language statement, by giving us an absolute value and says or 1 equals 1. Well, what happens is it select all from table where user ID equals Ben McGee and password equals tick tick, and then that statement is complete. So UID is this, and then you say or show me in the database anything where 1 equals 1, and then the database says 1 always equals 1, you idiot. And then what it'll do is it'll just return all the records in the database to you, because the input that it was given is an absolute. So now that we've said that, I think that we can go through and answer this question. Let's do that. So let's do the 50-50 rule. Remember, 50-50. And then we'll go from the bottom up. All right, so SQL injection vulnerability can be caused by which of the following? Cross-site request forgery? No, it just doesn't sound right. Discretionary access controls? No. Improper input validation? Yeah. Password complexity? No. So we got it down to the 50-50 right here, and I'm going with B. So let's just go and confirm the answer. Excuse me. I don't even remember which one is that. That's this one right here.